You don't observe reality. You create it. There is not just one reality. In the vast quantum field, there exists an infinite sea of possibilities. What we call reality is merely the version that your consciousness has tuned into, like selecting a frequency on a radio. That might sound strange at first, but it's deeply rooted in both quantum science and ancient spiritual insight. You only perceive what your inner state is ready to perceive, or more precisely, what your vibration allows you to access. Every version of you already exists. The wealthier you, the more joyful you, the more awakened you. Every path, every opportunity is already present in the field, but you can only walk the path your consciousness is aligned with. Imagine this right now. There are multiple versions of you, each living a different life. Some more abundant, others more peaceful, others more loving. And the version you are experiencing is being chosen not by fate, but by the way you see and feel the world. This isn't about reacting to what happens to you. It's about realizing that consciousness is not a response, it's the source. Your inner state is like a code that filters the infinite into the tangible. Your thoughts, emotions, and attention act like the artist's brush, collapsing all the options into a single lived experience. The purpose of this message is simple yet profound, to help you understand how this process works, and more importantly, how you can shift your reality without needing anything outside you to change. True transformation begins the moment you awaken the inner observer, the one who chooses with presence, with clarity, with intention. When that part of you awakens, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. From a young age, we're taught to believe that reality is fixed, external, and beyond us, that life happens to us and our only role is to cope, survive, or adapt. But what if this belief is backwards? What if reality isn't the cause, but the effect, a reflection of your vibration? Modern science, especially quantum physics, increasingly supports this idea. The universe is not a pre-written script. It's a dynamic field of energy, a sea of probabilities waiting to take shape. And what gives it form is the mind that observes. In and of itself, the act of observing is not neutral. The way you look has an effect on others. Feelings are the source of shaping. There is a transformation that takes place in front of you when you believe. Not the world that you see is the world that actually exists. Your perception of the world is what constitutes the world. There is no such thing as matter that appears by itself. It reacts to the frequency of the person who is conducting the observation. Consciousness does not respond to the external environment. Your dominant vibration serves as the lens through which it translates, decodes, and understands the information given to it. This indicates that two individuals who are looking at the identical circumstance can have radically different perceptions of the reality. The turmoil is visible. The other person recognizes an option. One experiences terror. Excitation is the other factor. What has changed? A vibration that is caused by the observer. As soon as you comprehend this, you will begin to recognize that it is not reality that is being presented to you. You are moving into the version of reality that corresponds to the frequency that you have within yourself. Life is not forcing anything upon you in any way. It is merely displaying the information that you are prepared to view. On top of that, everything is different. If what you perceive is dependent on your degree of consciousness, then increasing your level of consciousness will literally cause you to modify the realities that you experience. But there is a catch to this. Although this is true, it does not mean that you can simply think positively and everything will change on its own. In the event that there is a genuine vibratory shift within transformation will take place. In the event that your ideas, feelings, and goals are in harmony with a new frequency. Tuning a radio is analogous to this. Therefore, in order for a new song to play, you will need to switch to a different station. Reality has a reacting quality. In every moment, it is responding to your internal condition. Therefore, what you see in the outside world is frequently a perfected representation of what is present in this world. Also, such projection is not symbolic in any way. The message is direct, energizing, and precise. It is impossible for the universe to make errors. The exact same thing that your consciousness is emitting is reflected in it. Don't go outside of yourself first if you're experiencing something in your life that feels repetitious, restrictive, or annoying. Examine your own thoughts. Investigate the vibration that is influencing this experience by asking yourself, what aspects of myself are being reflected in this? You are able to go beyond the position of a victim of circumstance and into the one that is truly yours when you take this step. A conscious co-creator of reality is the role that you play, due to the fact that consciousness does not exist to react. To choose to command and to manifest are all within its reach. In addition, the more you comprehend this, the more you will be in harmony with the holy function that you have come to fulfill. One who is a vibrating entity and a maker of universes comes to mind. One who is able to define what is revealed as an observer. Every observation represents a point at which the possibilities are exhausted. Within each and every instant, you have access to a limitless number of possibilities. Simply put, not in a figurative sense. In its most fundamental form, reality is not a structure that is constantly present. A quantum field that is alive and pulsating with every conceivable variation of your existence is what you are experiencing. Each and every way, each and every choice, and each and every result already exists in possibility. The lens that chooses from among those limitless possibilities is your consciousness, and it is this lens that will ultimately result in the experience that you have lived. There is no matter that is waiting to be perceived on the quantum level. It is not there ready to be perceived. What is found is a vast ocean of energy that is humming. In addition, the only time that this energy acquires form is when it is interacting with a conscious observer. At that precise instant, the moment of observation, a single probability out of an infinite number of possibilities becomes a tangible reality. It is referred to as the collapse of the wave function when it occurs like this. To put it another way, the process of watching, feeling, and concentrating leads the field of probability to condense into a single manifestation. This is the most crucial aspect of the whole thing. Not a random occurrence that collapses. There is a direct relationship between the vibration of the observer and it. Your feelings, your goals, and your internal state or condition. These are the codes that will determine the kind of reality that will be disclosed through the revelation. You're not simply observing what's in the vicinity. Among all of the other possibilities that were also possible, you are bringing about the actualization of a certain potential. Picture two persons just strolling through the same park at the same time. An individual is filled with thankfulness and takes pleasure in the beauty that surrounds them. The other person is preoccupied with ideas of deficiency, anxiety, and irritation. Both of them are in the same physical location, but their experiences couldn't be more different from one another. Light, color, and life are manifested. Problems, waste, and noise are what the other observes. That is due to the fact that every individual is consolidating a distinct version of reality in accordance with their own consciousness. The procedure is ongoing at all times. There is a new version of the universe that you are constructing with each and every glance, judgment, and feeling that you give out when you are viewing anything. These are the things that I choose to notice as you are telling the field. In my opinion, this is the case. Exactly what I am right now is reflected in this. That being said, the field will always respond to your frequency with complete and utter faithfulness. It is important to keep in mind that it is not only about looking. It is not the mechanical act of seeing that decides the collapse. Rather, it is the vibrational nature of your observation that does it. When compared to observing with serenity, observing with terror results in a different kind of collapse. When compared to observing with judgment, observing with expectancy results in a different reality coming into view. The combination of emotion and intention is the secret of falling apart. It is precisely this mixture that brings about the activation of potential and the formation of a certain timeline. Therefore, when we say that you pick your reality, we are not referring to intentional desire or the ability to exert willpower. When we talk about vibrational alchemy, we are referring to the process that takes place every time your consciousness interacts with the outside world. The decision is always being made regardless of whether or not you are aware of it. Constantly tuning into frequencies and dismantling the realities that you experience in your life is what your inner state is doing. The question that needs to be asked is whether you are making choices with presence or whether you are collapsing by habit, repeating the same frequencies, the same judgments, and the same emotions, and thus creating the same realities for yourself. In the moment that you become aware of this mechanism, everything will alter. The realization dawns on you that you do not need to wait for something external to take place. At this very now, you have the ability to change the quality of your observations, And in doing so, you can change the reality that is crumbling in front of you. It is not because you compelled the world to exist. Rather, it is because you gained access to a version of it that was previously present and waiting to be selected. You are the filter that determines your line of reality, and your inner vibration is the filter. Vibrates can be found everywhere in the universe. You are a frequency emitter just like everything else in the universe. Your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and intentions come together to generate a one-of-a-kind vibratory field that quietly radiates into the electromagnetic environment that surrounds you. That field, on the other hand, reacts to you with pinpoint accuracy, not based on what you desire, but rather on what you vibrate. It is the frequency of your awareness that functions as a filter, and it is this filter that decides out of all the conceivable realities which one will be perceived, experienced, and realized by you. The reality that you experience is not arbitrary, nor is it solely determined by factors that are external to you. Specifically, it is in harmony with the frequency that you emit the most frequently. Furthermore, this indicates that your frequency does not merely impact the world, rather it chooses the world. Imagine it as if you were tuning in to a radio station. All of the frequencies are out there, and all of them are available. However, the only one that you hear is the one that corresponds to the tuning of your gadget. In a similar manner, all possible versions of your existence are already present in the quantum field. But the only version that you are able to access and experience is the one that is in harmony with your dominant frequency. When you observe something, the way you feel about it is what shapes the version of the world that you see. If you make the decision to view life through the lens of fear, uncertainty, or self-doubt, you will find that you resonate with lines of reality that represent those moods exactly. The reason for this is not because the world is trying to punish you, but rather because the field is rational. The vibration that you give off is reflected back to you. It presents you with a version of reality that validates the feelings that you have. It's almost as if the cosmos is saying, "Oh, that's what you're tuned into. So here's the reality that corresponds to it." When your observation is filled with thankfulness, presence, and appreciation, on the other hand, the field responds as well, but with a different version of the world. This version of the world is one in which abundance can be seen, opportunities can be spotted, and beauty can be noted. And the most astounding thing is that even while the external world might not change the way you perceive, feel, and experience it all, is completely different. This is because you alter the vibrational lens through which you observe everything. The reason for this is that various people can have completely different interpretations of the same circumstance. For someone who is vibrating in guilt, a challenge may appear to be a form of punishment, whereas for someone who is vibrating in growth, it may appear to be a hidden blessing. As a result of the fact that the fact itself is not the most important thing, the same figure in a bank account can bring feelings of hopelessness to one person while bringing peace to another. What is being observed is the observer's internal state. Although vibration is a silent phenomenon, it is the language that the universe can comprehend. Your internal state is what signals to the field what kind of reality you are prepared to live, and that reality is always precisely in tune with your frequency. This is more than just words or wishes. It is your internal state. Therefore, taking care of your vibration is not a spiritual luxury. It is a necessity. The act of creating something is a conscious act. To connect your experience with what you actually want to live, it is the key to achieving this alignment. When you observe anything with presence, with a sense of lightness, and with gratitude, the particular kind of reality that you experience is radically transformed. The reason for this is that vibration does not merely color the universe. Rather, it determines which version of the world will emerge as actual. In the event that there is something in your life that appears to be unchanging, challenging, or out of line, it is not enough to just alter the circumstances. Rather, it is necessary to alter the vibration with which you are seeing those circumstances. The filter shifts whenever there is a change in your frequency, and at the same time, the line of reality that you access shifts along with it. Coherence is produced by consciousness, and reality is the result of this. An extraordinary level of intelligence can be observed in the manner in which the universe reacts to awareness. Not luck or magic, but coherence is what makes it happen. Reality, regardless of how chaotic it may appear at first look, is regulated by subtle principles of resonance and alignment. These laws are in place everywhere. This is one of the laws that is considered to be among the most powerful. The observer's internal vibrational coherence is the basis for the organization of the external environment to which they are exposed. What exactly does that say? In other words, when your ideas, feelings, and goals are all in accord with one another, you enter a state of energy coherence, and that state functions as a clear command to the quantum field. The cosmos does not make decisions based solely on what you want or how you are feeling at any one moment. It reacts to the frequency that is most prevalent in your mind, and the more coherent that frequency is, the more powerful and accurate the reality that it attracts will be. Vibrational fragmentation is the home of the majority of humanity. They have one thought, one feeling, and a completely other drive to accomplish what they set out to do. They desire peace yet are forced to live in strife. They have a fearful and insufficient outlook on life despite their longing for wealth. However, they view themselves through the lens of judgment and internal rejection despite the fact that they yearn for affection. Due to the fact that it is getting contradictory signals, the universe is unable to determine which reality it should collapse because of the incoherence that it is experiencing. A life that is unstable and stuck full of repetition and frustration is the product of this process. On the other hand, flow is the response that the field receives when there is alignment, when the intention is clear, when the feeling is genuine, and when attention is present. It seems as though reality is only waiting for that command to move in order to reorganize itself with pinpoint accuracy. As a result of entering a state of coherence with what you have been requesting, resistance is eliminated, delays are eliminated. Everything falls into place. Synchronicities arise and answers are received. Being present and being aware of what you are vibrating is all that is required to achieve coherence. It does not involve any effort. Due to the fact that we frequently fail to recognize that we are bringing about the opposite of what we desire, simply by continuing to hold habitual ideas that are in direct opposition to our most profound aspirations. And the universe does not respond to what you claim to want. Rather, it responds to what you believe to be true through your vibration. The expression reality does not require effort. It requires alignment between what you are and what you observe is an excellent example of how this principle can be perfectly captured. When you are in harmony with the frequency of what it is that you desire to experience, you do not have to actively seek out the manifestation. Rather, it makes its way to you. As a result of the fact that there is no longer any interference between what you are requesting and what you are sending the field, your vibration transforms into a perfect affirmation of the reality that will eventually come into existence. The contrast between living a reactive life and living a creative life is shown by this. The reactive person makes an effort to exert control over the results, whereas the creative person makes adjustments to the cause, which is their own frequency. Furthermore, life reacts with coherent realities based on the cause that is coherent. All of a sudden, everything begins to make more sense. The appropriate individuals arrive, opportunities present themselves without difficulty, and answers that were previously inaccessible materialize with relative ease. The kind of consciousness that is capable of producing coherence is one that is aware of what it is. Selecting has the experience of what it is, requesting, and observes with faith what is still in the process of developing. A consciousness that has reached maturity and awakened is one that is aware of the fact that reality does not require control, but rather attunement. On top of that, everything is different, mostly due to the fact that you start caring about what is going on inside of you, rather than trying to change things from the outside in. And as a result of this reality, which is obedient, precise, and vibrationally just aligns with who you truly are. How to alter your reality without making any physical movement at all. Most individuals are under the impression that in order to alter their reality, they must first relocate significant structures in the external world. They believe that they need to relocate to a different city, change occupations, befriend new people, or wait for more time to make things right. Even if changes on the outside can be a reflection of changes on the inside, these interior transformations are not the fundamental source of change. The reality that you lead does not start with the environment, rather it starts with the manner that you perceive. Because of this, it is possible to convert it without taking a single physical step, provided that you change the frequency from which you are seeing. When it comes to everything, the awareness of the observer is the most fundamental component. The things that you perceive, particularly in difficult times, are not fixed. Within a vibratory field, the circumstance itself is just one of many conceivable manifestations that could occur within of it. The fact that you are experiencing something is not what makes it heavy, painful, or limited. Rather, it is the vibrational interpretation that you are emitting toward that experience. Depending on the emotional stance that you adopt, the kind of reality that you are maintaining is determined. Altering that internal position is the defining moment that marks the turnaround. There is no point in rejecting the reality of the issue or acting as if it does not exist. In order to observe with awareness, it is necessary to pause, breathe, and observe. Whenever you give yourself permission to be present for even a few period, a miraculous occurrence takes place. When you leave the autopilot of reaction, you reach the area of choice, which is the creative zone. You start to believe that you are the one who is observing rather than the one who is being pulled along by what is being watched. There is a new question that comes up in that area. What part of this place does my consciousness choose to focus on? By asking that question, you have the ability to break old thought patterns, open your perception, and become aware that you are collapsing a certain version of reality. Additionally, you will come to realize that other versions of reality are also available, and they are only waiting for a new vibration from you to arise. Changing the question will result in a modification to the command center. As soon as you get out of the job, you go back to being the one who created it. And at that very instant, you have the ability to make a decision to change the feeling that is supporting your observation. Feel free to take deeper breaths. You are able to be open to the lesson that lies beneath the contest. Even while you are experiencing discomfort, you can still intend to be grateful. And the field that surrounds you is altered as a result of that change in your internal state. It is not about pretending to feel something that you do not feel. The important thing is to keep in mind that you have the ability to decide what significance you will attach to each and every experience. Moreover, the meaning of that is vibrational. You are able to alter your frequency by altering the way in which you read reality. When you change your frequency, reality reacts in a manner that can be subtle or unexpected, depending on the circumstances. It does, however, always answer. Having the realization that your point of power is not in the future or outside of you is the key to unlocking everything. That is in the here and now, in the same instant that you are observing, since that is the time when reality is being selected. Additionally, if you alter the manner in which you witness by increasing your presence, your intention, and your truthfulness, you will start to get access to versions of reality that were previously inaccessible to you. If you want to alter your reality, you do not have to relocate. All that is required of you is to move away from the frequency that is preventing it from moving. In addition, this starts with a straightforward act of awareness. Pause, take a deep breath, observe with purpose, and make the conscious decision to vibrate differently. This is how fresh opportunities come into existence, because you change the observer who was generating the world rather than because the world itself changed. When an observer is awakened, they gain access to new options. The vast majority of people look at the world through patterns. Observe, evaluate, respond, and repeat the process. This procedure is carried out automatically. Because of this, individuals are able to live in a kind of closed-loop reality in which they are subjected to the same circumstances, feel the same discomforts, and recreate experiences that are identical to those they have had in the past, even when they have a desire for something completely different. Not due to a lack of willpower, but rather due to a lack of awareness regarding the manner in which they are observing. Your mind does things by reflex, by habit, and by conditioning. When you are observing the world without really being aware of it, it is unable to perceive what is actually in front of someone. What it sees is exactly what it was designed to see. The reason you are unable to escape the same lines of reality is because of the blind repetition that you engage in. Comparable to viewing the same movie, and supposing that the plot is evolving when in reality the only thing that has changed is the cast of characters. However, a rupture is on the horizon, a transformational turning point that is unobtrusive and discreet. This takes place when you awaken in the role of the observer. When you come to the realization that you are not just someone who encounters reality, but rather someone who chooses at each and every instant the version of reality you access through the method that you observe. The observer who has woken no longer observes through the lens of habit. It is with awareness that they look. By observing with presence, individuals come to the realization that they are able to unlock doors that were before inaccessible to them. At this point, realities that were previously inconceivable become observable. Opportunities start to present themselves. The answers that were blocked are disclosed. The reason for this is not that the world outside has changed. Rather, it is because the person who is witnessing has changed their frequency. Additionally, as a result of this, the line of reality that is being accessed also moves. This is the key to understanding quantum leaps. They do not occur as a result of someone doing something significant in the physical world. Rather, they occur as a result of someone vibrationally moving into a new version of themselves and consequently a new version of the world. When your vibration increases, the environment that surrounds you reorganizes the possibilities that you are able to perceive through your perception. Now that you have reached this new level of insight, your decisions will change. Your routes will shift, and the outcomes will be different. The expression, "The world didn't change, your consciousness accessed another universe within the same space," is an excellent way to describe this experience, mostly due to the fact that everything you want will already be present in some aspect of reality. In order to perceive and engage with it, the issue that has to be answered is not if it exists, but rather at what frequency you need to be. The enlightened observer does not attempt to influence the course of life. The ego is aware that control is an illusion that it creates. On the contrary, they work to improve clarity. It is their inner state that they work on. They adjust their vibration so that it is in harmony with the reality that they wish to access. Not only that, but by doing so, they are not producing something brand new out of existence. They are able to tune in to a possibility that has always been present, but which was previously out of their reach through their frequency. Simply put, that is freedom. Instead of relying on external factors to alter your experience, you should focus on gaining access to higher levels of consciousness that enable you to experience different realities even while you are in the same locations, with the same people, and in the same situations. Simply because the quality of your observations is the only thing that genuinely shifts. The point at which life ceases to be a repetition and transforms into a creation is the moment when the observer awakens. This is the moment when the world ceases to reflect your history and begins to represent your current existence. In addition, from that point on, everything changes, not as a result of your efforts, but rather as a result of your alignment with the countless opportunities that have always been waiting for you. Now that we have arrived at the conclusion of our voyage, perhaps you are able to see things more clearly. It is not a forced reality that you are living in. It has been selected, determined by the manner in which you perceive experience and make sense of each moment. When determining what is real, consciousness does not wait for facts to be presented. They are defined by it. You are tuning into one of an endless number of different versions of the world with every single glance, every single feeling, and every single vibrational pickup. What is out there is not something that you need to manage. All that is required of you is to reawaken the observer that resides within you, the one who makes decisions with discernment, presence, and purpose. Now here is the task for you. Within the following 24 hours, you should watch everything as if your choice is making reality, because it actually is. Additionally, keep in mind that life reacts to your frequency, not the things you say. Through the cultivation of the vibration of what it is that you wish to live, the universe will softly open the door for you.